Welcome everyone to our week 4 spring to summer shape up. It's great to hear so many people have been having fabulous results, and I was just having a little chat with Helen a bit earlier on, and she's actually lost 2 kilos this week alone, which I have to say congratulations to Helen, because I know how badly she's and how much she's worked for that as well. So it's great to see that everyone across the board is getting great results. So guys, we're almost up the halfway. Actually, this week we're entering into a halfway week. By Wednesday next week, we're exactly halfway. So it's time to actually start digging deep and seeing what there is and how much more you can fine-tune your lifestyles, because from here on in, it's going to go really, really fast. Okay, so tonight we've actually got some interesting things to talk about, because we're actually going to talk about eating at night. So there's a little bit of controversy when you read different bits and pieces and different articles. And the question is, does eating at night contribute to weight gain? So you will read lots of different answers to this. And what we're going to go through is that, okay, so what would you be better off eating at night, and why is that so? Do you love the picture? Little dog and cat in the fridge with a big mess everywhere? Okay, so what's really interesting is that in the evening, carbohydrates, a food that you eat, your body actually secretes a hormone called insulin when you eat carbohydrates. Now, when you eat carbohydrates in the evening, your body needs to secrete insulin to bring your blood sugar levels down. And when that happens, if it is not burned off, your body, if the energy from the carbohydrates is not burned off, I'll be a little bit more specific, your body will actually store that excess food in your fat stores. So let's think about that for a little minute. In the evening, the question is, how active are you? Knowing that carbohydrates are an energy food, when we eat carbohydrates, we need to burn it off. So in the evening, we aren't really all that, we aren't that physically active, and so it's very, very easy for our body to store that food as body fat. And that's actually where the theory comes along, that food eaten in the evening will be stored as body fat. So to be more specific, not all food eaten in the evening will be stored at body fat. Be stored as body fat. However, carbohydrates will be stored as body fat if it's eaten in the evening and not burnt off. So let's spend a little moment and really classify once again, what are carbohydrates? So already we've spoken about things that come from grain. So have a think about breads and cakes and muffins, and things that are baked with flour comes from grain. So they're straight carbohydrates. Then we have a look at our pastas, which are made from a flour base or a grain base again. Then rice, so even brown rice, basmati rice, all of those different styles of rice are still carbohydrates. And then we have a look at fruit. Fruit is actually full of fructose, which is fruit sugar. So fruit is actually high in carbohydrates as well. So all of those types of foods, if we can limit in the evening, or preferably not eat in the evening, whilst we're looking at really maximizing our weight loss, those foods are best not to be eaten in the evening, and in matter of fact, to be eaten quite sparingly altogether. Okay, so just to give you a little bit of more of an idea about the insulin and the carbohydrate. When you actually eat a carbohydrate, your body secretes insulin to bring your blood sugar levels down, because when you eat carbohydrates, your blood sugar levels spike. As you can see on the left-hand side, the scale, the arrow up, is a rise in blood sugar levels, and across the bottom is the time after a meal. Now that dotted line is where we like our blood sugar levels to normally be. So you can see that when we eat a meal, especially if it's high in carbohydrates, our blood sugar levels spike up really, really high. Now when that happens, our body secretes insulin to drop our blood sugar levels back down. Now ideally our blood sugar levels would drop back down to the dotted line. However, Our body does tend to compensate. So when we eat high carbohydrate foods, our body tries to bring the blood sugar levels down fairly rapidly, in which case it secretes a lot of insulin. Now, a lot of insulin will actually drop you back down underneath where you want to go. Now, when your blood sugar levels drop too low, as any diabetic will tell you, you start to feel excessively fatigued, but also you feel a lot more hungry. Now that's an interesting one, because when your blood sugar levels drop too low, your body will trigger a hunger response. Now let's have a think of that at night. We've had our evening meal and maybe had an ice cream for dessert. Now ice cream is straight sugar, so that means it's straight carbohydrate. So our blood sugar levels will spike up, and then maybe an hour after that we start to get the munchies again. Now it's not because we haven't had enough to eat, but it's because our blood sugar levels have dropped too low. Now that may not be because we've eaten ice cream. It may be because we've eaten fruit or rice or other carbohydrates like that, but that actually does happen. So that's one of the reasons why at night we need to be a little bit more aware of it, but also during the day. However, we're discussing the night, so let's move on into the night. So here's another little look at it as well. So when our body secretes insulin, which is the hormone that when we eat carbohydrates, our body secretes insulin to drop our blood sugar levels down. So when when our body is actually secreting insulin, dietary carbohydrates that we eat and fats that we eat is actually converted to body fat. Our body physically cannot burn body fat when our body is full of insulin. Very, very interesting, isn't it? And this comes back to one of the reasons why we are encouraging you all to eat more protein and less carbohydrates. Now, if there is no insulin available, therefore, if you haven't eaten a high carbohydrate-based food, when you're exercising, body fat is actually broken down for energy. That means body fat is actually being used as fuel to get your body through that exercise. Now that actually is what we're looking for on a daily basis. And how about if we think about it, well at night, what if we decreased our carbohydrates down so that our body didn't have to secrete too much insulin? And guess what? Have you ever heard about burning body fat while you sleep? Potentially that could be you. Interesting thought, isn't it? So the next question is, well, why do we love carbs at night? So many people crave carbs at night. Why do we have trouble giving up the mashed potato at night? Why do people say, oh, but I just love my mashed potato? Or I just love to sit down and have just a bicky. It's just something sweet while I watch TV or I'm on the computer at night. So let's have a little look at it. What actually goes on? So we're going to talk about serotonin, which is another hormone. So serotonin is a feel-good hormone. So serotonin is one of the hormones that's released, for instance, when we exercise. Serotonin is a hormone that's also released when we laugh. So it's a happy hormone. It makes us feel good. Now, serotonin naturally drops at night. That way we can wind down and go to sleep. So could you also see that there is a relation to that when your body knows that that the serotonin levels is dropping, that you might want to do something to increase it? So you might feel like having something sweet, or you might feel like something savory, which is once again a carbohydrate. It's very interesting, isn't it? So carbohydrates increase your serotonin levels, which makes you feel great. Now let's just go off on a tangent here for a moment. What about when you're really upset? What about when you're angry or you're upset or you're just really emotional? Now some people don't eat at all. But other people, and a lot of ladies in particular, just my sister is a great one, and I can say this, I know, she just reaches for a block of chocolate. Why? Because she's upset, and the carbohydrates in that chocolate will make you feel great. So we all know that chocolate is one of those universal make me feel better things, and that's one of the reasons why, because of serotonin, the carbohydrates in it will actually help your body increase serotonin. Only one of those things, but there's a few more. bits and pieces, but that's one of them. So let's get back to this. So after you've eaten your snack at night, your serotonin levels have increased and you feel good, but a little later on your serotonin drops again. So your body once again screams for more carbohydrates and more sugar, and that's once again when you're out opening the cupboards and rattling the pantry doors and just looking for that something to snack. And let's face it, we've all been there, haven't we? So what we say is it comes back to those top 10 guidelines we had right from week 1, that there's another reason to consume lean protein and vegetables for dinner, because it actually helps stabilize all of these levels. It helps stabilize all of these hormonal cravings which we can get at night. So the question is, why do we still do it? If we actually know that we shouldn't be doing it, if we actually have a really good lunch and a really good dinner, why do we still crave those sweet things at night? So let's have a look at a few things. So one of the biggest ones are eating habits. So sometimes at night we can actually be just serving a larger portion that's needed. Sometimes we might need something hot. Sometimes we might need something sweet. Sometimes just picking while preparing our dinner, packing away leftovers, that can actually put us over the limit. But other times too, it's just habits. So, when you come home in the afternoon or the evening and you've had tea and you've done the dishes and you've cleaned up, a lot of times people sit in front of the TV, or these days sit in front of the computer. And so sometimes then just start snacking, and it might just be that habit that's what you do. Might be you read a book and snack at the same time. So sometimes it's actually just a habit to do. Sometimes it can be boredom. Another time it can actually be comfort. Another time it could actually be reward. So I had a really, really hard day and I just want to relax and de-stress, and I just want to sit down and have whatever your treat is. And the other reason, it can actually be lack of planning. So maybe you've just been flat out all day and you haven't eaten at the right time, and you've skipped lunch and just grabbed something on the go for afternoon tea, and then it's tea time and maybe you haven't had enough protein during the day. Maybe you haven't been grocery shopping and you actually are out of routine in what you usually eat as well. So these are all reasons that for this week, let's really start honing in on what's going on for you. Remember, we're just looking at one small step each week, and over 8 weeks we've taken 8 small steps, which is a massive move forward in your longevity of weight loss and keeping that weight off. So let's actually start looking through what's going on for us this week and what do we need to tweak still. We've spoken about portion sizes. How do they go? Now let's start having a look at your protein-carb balance. Are you still having too many carbs? And in particular, do you need to cut your carbohydrate intake back in the evenings? Are you having protein with your evening meal? That's really, really important that you do. If you don't have protein with your evening meal, what you eat is more than likely going to be stored as body fat rather than as muscle. And we really want, when we go to sleep at night, our muscles to be refueled and replenished, because let's face it, we're exercising every day. So let's consider some new guidelines for eating at night. So number 1, check your eating diary and fill in the blanks. So by that I say, have you eaten enough protein during the day? Have you eaten enough veggies during the day? Are you getting enough fiber? So once again, veggies, salad, etc., etc. So for your evening meal, have a look. What did I miss out on today? What nutrition did I miss out on? Because that's a really, really important one. And the next step along is we still wish, once again, you'll get sick of hearing this, but you'll learn it, I know. Eat lean protein, and low carbohydrate veggies. So things like broccoli, cauliflower, spinach, cabbage. There is just so much out there these days. So we want the low carb veggies, but they also have high fiber and they also have lots of nutrition in them as well. So a really good base meal like that actually helps reduce those nasty hormonal cravings, because that's what they are. They are basically, once again, remember last week we were talking about your metabolism, and we were coming from the aspect that your metabolism is your hormones. So your hormones, when we talk about a fast metabolism or a slow metabolism, what we're talking about is the balance of your hormones. So if you are eating too high carbohydrate meals, you won't be getting the weight loss that you deserve or that you desire. So this is now the crux of it. If you are exercising regularly, if your portion sizes are a nice portion size, if you're reading your nutrition labels and your food information panels and you're sitting at around about, remember we were discussing those 1200 kilojoules a meal and your snacks, and so you're coming in at around about your 4,500 kilojoules per day or 1,100 calories per day. If you're doing all of that and getting really frustrated and not getting the weight loss that you desire, what it means is that more than likely your carbohydrate intake is too high and your protein intake is too low. That's another reason why with our body analysis that we do it every week, and why we have a look at not only how much you weigh, but at how much muscle you've built and how much body fat you've burnt. Because if you every week take those sheets home and compare them every week, because if you are losing muscle every week and not losing fat, but the weight on the scales is going down, that tells us once again that you're eating too much carbohydrates and not enough protein, and your body is actually not burning your body fat stores for fuel. It's really, really important that you have a look at that. And our next guideline is eat enough to get to bed. Now we all know that we will be eating again tomorrow. None of us are actually going through a famine at the moment, so we only need to eat enough to get us through to breakfast tomorrow. And remembering that we're not doing a lot of exercise between now and breakfast tomorrow, that's all we need. We just need enough to get us through the night. So another little hormone I wanted to talk about tonight, because you're probably working out, I love these hormones, they fascinate me. So there's something called ghrelin, which is a hormone. Now I call ghrelin the gremlin, okay, because ghrelin is secreted by the stomach, so that's a good thing. So ghrelin says, I'm hungry and it's time to eat. Now you know how you get that grumbling part in your stomach? So that's actually ghrelin just saying, I'm hungry, it's time to eat. Now we all know that when you get those hunger grumbles, they're really loud. What it also does is actually triggers the brain and the pleasure center of the brain. And so ghrelin is the one that when your stomach gets hungry and grumbly, it will actually also tell you in your brain what you feel like eating. Now what's interesting, can you remember last week when we were talking about leptin? So leptin speeds up your metabolism, but ghrelin decreases leptin. So when leptin is decreased, your metabolism will slow down and you actually won't be able to access those body fat stores that you want. So ghrelin and leptin act in opposition to each other. We want more ghrelin, we want more leptin and we want less ghrelin. So excess ghrelin tells you that you're hungry all the time. And when you're hungry all the time, you're going to eat more. And when you're going to eat more, you will actually burn less fat because you have less leptin levels as well. So what's really important to note, that skipping meals increase your ghrelin levels. So once again, if you're a person who does not eat breakfast, if you're a person who does not eat until 10, 11, 12 o'clock during the day, your ghrelin levels will be higher than they should be. So this comes back to another reason why we say that breakfast is a really, really, really important meal, and that if you can eat breakfast and then lunch and then dinner, that is actually really important to keep your ghrelin levels at bay. People who are cereal meal skippers actually have higher ghrelin levels than normal. That also means that they have lower leptin levels than normal, which means their metabolism will actually be a little bit more sluggish than what it could potentially be. So just something for food for thought thrown in there. But just in finishing tonight, because we are coming up to our halfway mark, once again, I just want you to have a think about, are you eating for what you are going to do and not eating for what you have done? So in this relates directly back to our meals, our evening meals. So you've had a big day, that's great. You've actually got through your day. So to get to bed tonight, you only need a small meal because we're only going to go to bed tonight. And then tomorrow morning is when we eat to get us through the day. And if we just keep refilling our body to get us through the day and then eat a smaller meal in the evening, that's actually the best way to do it. So thank you very much for listening tonight, everyone. I do hope you found that was informative. So this week, let's really dig our heels in and stand back and have a really good look at what's going on for you or what's not going on for you, and really make that commitment to go through everything. So let's just have a quick think. Just before I finish off tonight, let's have a quick think. Are you filling in your eating diary? If not, why not? Are you reading your nutrition information panels? If not, why not? Have you actually had a rough working out whether your kilojoule intake during the day is correct? Because remember, if you're only 100 or 200 kilojoules over every day, that will actually put on weight rather than lose weight. It doesn't take very much to do that. Are you doing your weight training? Are you doing your cardio training? Are you drinking water, and are you drinking enough water? So there's lots of things that we can still tweak, and now we're taking it further in that, have you decreased your carbohydrates enough, and are you eating protein with every single meal without fail? So there's lots of things that we can really work on tweaking this week. Now it's up to you to decide which one is going to give you the biggest results for next week, which is the one that is a standout for you to really work on and really make some progress with. So I encourage you this week. We're running out of time. We're almost halfway through. Let's hook in and get some awesome results going for next week. So thank you all, and I'll chat to you during the week and also on our Facebook page. Thank you and have a great night. Good night.